Hey guys, it's Steve. Alright, so I've got a video request from Pitmaster X. He's another YouTuber that has a great barbecue channel. He's from the Netherlands, and he suggested that I make barbecue pulled pork croquettes. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so there's really 3 steps to this recipe. The first thing we're going to be doing is a broth. Then we'll be making a ragu, and that will sit overnight and firm up, and then tomorrow we'll form out the croquettes and then use breadcrumbs and panko and fry them. And so the first thing we're going to do right here is go ahead and get our broth together. I've got a little bit of butter that I got melted here. The recipe that came from Pitmaster X called for 1 small onion to be chopped up. I thought I had an onion, but I didn't, so I didn't feel like running back out to the store, so I'm just going to use some minced onion instead. I've got a couple tablespoons here, so we're just going to sprinkle in the minced onion. And then we've got some 2 tablespoons of rub. You can really use whatever rub you want to. This is the Tango Spice Twist and Shout. I've used some of the Tango Spice rubs before. They're awesome. I'll put a link in the description. Definitely check these guys out. Lots of different flavors there. So we'll just put the rub in here. Then we've got 1 beef bouillon cube thrown there. And then we've got 2 cups of water. And so all we're going to do is just give this a little stir and bring this up to a boil, and we'll be back. Alright, so I brought this up to a boil, let it boil for just a couple minutes, and I just cut the heat. And I'm going to strain the onion bits out of this. The recipe calls for straining the sauteed onion, so I'm going to do the same with this minced onion. Probably doesn't matter to leave it in there, but alright, and we're just going to go ahead and sit this aside, and we'll be right back to start on our ragu. Alright, so we're going to start on our ragu. The first thing we're going to do is toss in 1/3 cup of butter and wait till that starts bubbling. Okay, now that our butter has melted and is bubbling nicely here, we're just going to slowly start adding some flour here. I've got 1/2 cup of flour, and we're just gonna add some and then kind of stir it up. Just continue to do the same thing. We're looking for kind of a nice clumpy material, and so we're just gonna keep doing this. Alright, so that's what we're looking for right there. So you can see how this is just clumped up nicely. Just like that. Now what we're going to do is start adding back in our broth that we made. We're just going to do a little bit at a time and then stir, and then repeat the process until we have all this nice and mixed up. Alright, so we've got all the broth in. This is mixing up nicely. Now what we're going to do is our next 3 ingredients. This right here is 2 egg yolks beaten together with 3 tablespoons of whipped cream. So we're just going to add that. Then we have 6 grams of gelatin powder that I'm just going to dump in here. This is going to just help it bind when it sits in the fridge. And then we've just got some salt and pepper, and you can really kind of add whatever seasoning you want here. The recipe that I'm going off of just calls for salt and pepper. And we're just going to stir all this up. Okay, so now that we've got this mixed up, you can see how this has just kind of become this kind of gooey substance. It's just kind kind of has bound itself together with the gelatin. And the very last step that we're going to do is we're going to add some leftover pulled pork. And this is a little over a cup. There we go. And we're just going to mix this all up. Alright, now that we've worked the pulled pork into this mixture, this is done. We're just going to cut the heat and take this off, and I've just got a little square baking pan, and we're just going to dump this in here just like this and kind of smooth it out just like this. And we're going to let this cool, and then we're going to put it in the fridge and let it sit overnight. And so once it gets good and firmed up, we'll be back tomorrow to start forming out our croquettes. Alright guys, welcome back. The ragu has sat in the refrigerator overnight, and as you can see here, it's just a nice firm consistency. And all we're going to be doing now is I'm just going to be using an ice cream scoop and just kind of scooping out little chunks of it like this. And we're just going to set these over here on our baking pan. And I'm going to just go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got all the scoops out here. Now what you want to do is just take these and kind of form them into typical kind of little croquette shapes. Kind of roll them around. Nothing too complicated here, so kind of like that is what you're looking for. And I'm going to go ahead and roll the rest of these out. Alright, so now that I've got these kind of formed out, we're going to take some breadcrumbs and just kind of sprinkle over these. The first coat is breadcrumbs, then we're going to be making a little egg wash here in a second, and then we'll dip them in panko and then fry them. So just kind of go like this, and then you just kind of take them and roll around. Just give it a decent little coat. Just kind of like that is what we're looking for. Okay, so we've got a nice coating with the breadcrumbs here. Just kind of rolled them around. You can see what they look like here. So nothing too complicated there. Next thing we're going to do is I have 5 egg whites here that I'm going to whisk up together with 2 tablespoons of flour. So we'll just put the egg whites in there. This is going to be our egg wash, obviously, and the flour. And then we're just going to whisk this up. Okay, now what we're going to do, now that we've got our egg wash ready, we're just going to take these and dip them in here and toss them on this other tray that we're going to use for our panko tray. Alright, now that we've got these dipped in our egg wash, we're just going to take some plain panko crumbs and give these a nice liberal dose. Just like this, and roll them around. Just like we did with the breadcrumbs. You can see how nicely that the panko is sticking to these guys. And that's what we're looking for right there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish covering these and set them to the side. And then while our oil, I'm using peanut oil today, while that's getting up to about a medium temp, I'm going to make a cheese dipping sauce. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our cheese dipping sauce. So I've just got a couple tablespoons of butter that we're going to throw in here and let that start getting melted. Now that our butter's melted, we're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of flour. Then we've got 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Give this a quick little stir. And now we've got a 1 cup and a quarter of whole milk. You can use whatever milk you want, but it'll just taste better if you use whole milk. So we're going to stir this up and just let this cook until this thickens up a bit. Okay, so this thickened up in just a couple minutes and it's bubbling nicely. So all we're going to do now is we have a 1/2 cup of shredded mild cheddar and then a 1/2 cup of shredded Swiss cheese. And dump all that in there. And then we're just going to let this melt quickly. And you'll see here how quick this is going to melt. Just continuing to stir it like this. I'm going to cut the heat all the way down to low. And that is it. Our dipping sauce is ready to go, so that's what it looks like right there. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside and start frying up our croquettes. Okay, so I've got some peanut oil that I brought up to medium. And we've got our nice panko crusted croquettes here. And we're just going to toss these in. And we're just looking for a nice golden brown color. So I'll let them go for a couple minutes on each side and flip them. So it's only been a couple minutes and you can see these are already starting to brown nicely here. Have a great color on them. Definitely want to keep a close eye on them because you don't want to burn them. And we'll let these go a few more minutes. Alright, so these are done. It's been about 5 minutes, that's all it took. So we're going to take these and just set them on a plate with some paper towels and let them drain off the oil a little bit. We'll be back in just a second to take a look at these. Alright, so here's the final product. So these have a great color to them and the cheese sauce came out great, and I went ahead and cut one in half so you can see there what the inside looks like. And with the leftover smoked pulled pork and the rub, you can smell this nice just kind of smoky flavor coming off of these. I'm going to go ahead and try one of these out. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I wish you guys could try one of these right now with me. The cheese goes really, really well with the pulled pork, and anything you put panko on is going to come out great. So, man, it turned out great. So thanks so much to Pitmaster X for sending me the recipe. Again, I'm going to put a link to his channel. Go check his channel out. Again, he's from the Netherlands, and this recipe came off a forum from over there in the Netherlands. I'll actually put a link to that as well. So thanks a lot for stopping by. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you again soon.